Today is the start of a new era. This is Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. We have traveled a long way together to reach this turning point. Recounting the path the international community has taken over the 15 years since the adoption of the landmark Millennium Development Goals towards crafting a set of new post-2015 sustainability goals that will aim to ensure the long-term well-being of our planet and its people. With world leaders expected to adopt the text at a 25 through 27 September summit in New York. Interesting, that's why the Pope is there, right? That is why he's there, actually. The UN chief said Agenda 2030 aims high, seeking to put people at the center of development, foster human well-being, prosperity, peace, and justice on a healthy planet, and pursue respect for the human rights of all people and gender equality. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's just it's straight out of the communist leftist book. It's unreal. God have mercy on us all. Because history repeats itself, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what's happening here. So who doesn't dream of a world without peace and dignity for all? And who's not going to want this? Who's not going to buy this bullshit real hook, line, and sinker? They make it all sound so wonderful and non-threatening, don't they? They make it sound like we're about to enter a global utopia. A global utopia in which poverty and inequality will finally be eradicated. What they fundamentally want to do, the Pope is traveling here to give the opening address at this conference. And he's been calling for a new world order since Pope John Paul II. They've all been calling for it. And remember, Pope John Paul II was the first pope that allowed Masons to, again, Catholics to become Masons. Scared the hell out of me when I figured that out. I said, well, that doesn't make any sense. And then I said, oh, it does make sense. See, these things that sometimes don't make sense, it's only because you're not looking at it from the right perspective. But don't be fooled. This 2030 agenda is a blueprint for a new world order. The Pope will be urging all of humanity to support what the UN is trying to do. And that's just a hell of a closer, wouldn't you say? I mean, they say all these beautiful, wonderful words, and the Pope comes down there and, you know, sells it for them. It's just unbelievable. How are they going to achieve this utopia that they're promising? They plan to intentionally transform the economic development model. That's what it said. How do they plan to do that? How will they achieve this utopia? Sadly, they're just selling the same lies that have been sold to people for thousands of years. Paul McGuire, the co-author of a new book entitled The Babylon Code, Solving the Bible's Greatest End-Time Mystery, commented on this recently. Deep inside every man and woman, is the longing for a far better world, a world without war, disease, death, and pain. Our present world is a cruel world in which every life ends in death. From the beginning of time, mankind has sought to use science and technology to create a perfect world, what some would call utopia or paradise. As the human race began to organize itself, a scientific or technocratic elite rose to power by promising the masses that they could build this perfect world. Ancient Babylon represented the first historical attempt to build paradise on earth. In ancient times, Babylon was the very first attempt at global government. And ever since, the global elite have been trying to recreate what Babylon started. The promise is always the same. The elites swear that they have finally figured out how to create a perfect society without poverty or war. But in the end, all of these attempts at utopia always end up degenerating into extreme forms of tyranny. Don't be fooled. The 2030 agenda is a blueprint for a new world order. There are countless millions of people that implicitly trust the Pope, and they will buy what he is selling, hook, line, and sinker. They want to fundamentally transform our planet. As Obama said, our nation, well, our planet, on a global scale. That's why they always think globally. Kerry's always talking about global, the global. It's always Kerry, the Secretary of State. She should be the Secretary of the New World Order. The globalist. Global. It's not one world. It's one country, one nation under God. God, indivisible. That's right, indivisible. That's why they try to divide us. With liberty and justice for all. They want us to give up our liberty because we know we have it. we consciously are aware, at least of that, but we take it for granted. We do not understand what slavery really is, so they use our ignorance of our free will to be slaves, that we are slaves. Because, as Goethe said and wrote, no one is more hopelessly enslaved than someone who falsely believes themselves to be free. Excuse me. To the elite, giving people freedom and liberty is dangerous because to be free. Excuse me. To the elite, giving people freedom and liberty is dangerous because they believe it hurts the environment and causes societal chaos. According to their way of thinking, the only way to have the kind of harmonious utopia that they are shooting for is so tightly regulated, and the way they need it to be is so tightly regulated and controlled, so they know what everyone is thinking, saying, and doing. Their solution always involves more central planning and more control in their own hands. So what do you think? Should we hand the global elite that kind of power and control?
No.
Definitely not. If not, then we all need to start speaking out about this insidious agenda while we still can, while it's still allowed. Now, those were excerpts from a great article written by Michael Snyder in the End of the American Dream. Links will be put on my website, howardema.com, and on the Facebook page, unitedfmradio.com.
And our new and almost fully improved website, unitedfmradio.com.
Oh, that's right. I got to start plugging the new website, unitedfmradio.com.
We had a little crash, I guess you can call it. The internet didn't crash, our website crashed.
Oh.
This thing is supposed to be so easy a child can do it, but when it comes to HTML and all that, and then two people are working on it at the same time and trying to save at the same time, all hell breaks loose. And as they say, too many cooks spoil the broth, while too many editors ruin the website.
Wow, that's a great analogy though to that. So again, I just I wanted to thank you again, Melissa, for helping me out here today on today's show, and Keith. It was a great show. Went over time a little bit. I didn't even look at the clock. But this is real important stuff, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to take it to heart. Research all of this information. Agenda 21. You know, we have this rising police state. We have this insanity going on. The Black Lives Don't Matter is what I call it. The Black Lives Matter movement are nothing but a bunch of agitating racist criminals that are advocating murdering cops, which will feed the police state and bring more cops down on society. It's such a psyop that people have to understand that all of this agitation from the President of the United States, actually, I don't call him that. I don't think I've ever called him
President?
that. No, I call him Obama because I don't accept him as the president. I don't think he's a genuine president.
I think the only president he
doesn't deserve that respect.
Reagan does.
Yeah, well, they're all criminals, right? Reagan too has got some, but they all have skulls in their skeletons in their closet. Skull and bones in their closet. That's the truth. Yeah, it all goes back to the secret societies. That's why most people will never really talk about it. I focus on it because it is one of the most important factors. That's how they accomplish all these things. If they didn't have these secret societies and these different clubs, for lack of a better word, so you can understand what they are, they're really clubs. You know, it's like, and they name them clubs, and some of them are called orders, and some of them are called actually clubs. You know,
reminds me of high school when everybody had their own little clique.
It's like the fraternity system. It's the same. It's basically the same thing. But these cliques go back by a lineage, by a bloodline, and by an initiation process that with degrees of initiation that they swear an oath to. That's what these things are. So, Keith, as we call it a day, I want to thank you again for producing. Keith Much, the owner and engineer today for today's broadcast, and Melissa for co-producing and getting in we had some great interactions there today. And tune in every week, 1 to 3 p.m. at least, here on Truth Talk News on UnitedFMRadio.com. Because, you know something, this is true. It is a bad company, and the bad company that we're really talking about here is the company. CIA is known as the company, by the way, for those that are not in the know. It's one of the monikers they go by, the company. It is nothing less than just another company, a corporation that is owned by these elitists, and they're the muscle arm of the New World Order. Until next week, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on UnitedFMRadio.com.
Company, always on the run. A destiny, oh, it's the rising sun. I was born a shotgun in my hands, behind the gun I'll make my final stand. Yeah, and that's why they call me bad company. I can't deny bad company. Till the day I die. Until the day I die. Until the day I die. Rebel souls, deserters we've been called. Chose a gun and threw away the sun. Now these towns, well, they all know our name. The death punch sound is our claim to fame. And that's why they call me bad company. I can't deny bad company. Till the day I die. Until the day I die. Until the day I die. Until the day I die. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, blood for blood. We've all gotta die. We've all gotta die. And that's why they call